Ryan and I walked out of the Emmys recently. TK, did I tell you about this?
You didn't tell me about this.
So our last film, which TK...
You walked out, not went to. You walked out.
We went to and then walked out.
Yeah.
So our last film was called Less Is Now. It's on Netflix. And to my surprise, I got an email one day that was nominated for an Emmy. And so now the Minimalists are Emmy nominated, which sounds really awesome or whatever. It's this achievement that I never strived for, and it just sort of showed up. We wanted to make a beautiful film that resonated with people, and I felt like we accomplished that. Anyway, we get to the Emmys, and they sit us at the table with Matt Paxton, who's one of the hosts of the TV show Hoarders, which was quite funny. And so we're at the Emmys, and we are watching the award ceremony. I apologize to Matt Diavella, our director. We didn't win the Emmy. We're sitting there watching the series, or the ceremony, and they're giving out these awards for various technical things, and we get to a point where they're giving out the award for the best advertisement. And I look over at Ryan, and he looks at me, and he goes, "I don't think we should be here." I looked at him. He sort of gave me the nod. We've known each other for 30 years. So he just gave me the nod, and I stood up, and he stood up, and we both just beelined for the door in our tuxedos.
Yeah.
I'm loosening the collar as we head to the door. And Matt, you've been to award ceremonies. I've seen you in pictures with ties on and at the CMAs or whatever. And it's not that I think the Emmys are inherently bad or evil or anything like that. I think awards for art are a weird thing.
Yeah.
Because it's not an award for like the most albums sold. That one is quantifiable. Totally get that, right? But best album? Yeah. According to whom? Because I can guarantee you, if I go back and look at the list of best albums, they're not on my list of best albums.
Yep. So what you said about the Emmy is really what is the best thing about the Emmy, is that you can say Emmy nominated. I would love to get nominated for a Grammy. But I also enjoy a good ceremony where there's I go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremonies all the time. And it's fun because it's like I get to watch musicians be musicians on stage. I get to watch like people talk about, they do speeches that are moving, and then they come together and you get to watch these bands play. I've seen The Cure, I've seen the Chili Peppers, But the award thing is like a circle jerk. It's like created by the company that then gives awards within the company. It's just a way for capitalists to and again, I keep harping on this idea, but it's a very capitalist idea. Like, let's create a situation where we celebrate each other and we give out awards to who's the better one. But we really, it's like, and it's all rigged and it's all dumb and it's all doesn't matter. And so I used to love the Grammys, watching them, and I still love them on a certain level because I love watching people play music and I love that kind of thing. But yeah, if it's not your thing, like it totally should. I back it. I back getting up and leaving. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, because it doesn't, not only does it not matter, it's literally like, it's like it's just making things up. Like an Emmy for the best, da-da-da, and then these people got nominated and these people didn't. And there's a group of people in a room that make these decisions. And those people, like we talked about, I wouldn't want those people to decorate my bedroom. You know what I mean? Or like come tell me it's like, so why the hell do I care what they think about my record? It's only fun because you get to say like Grammy nominated, and then that looks cool and people talk about it, and it's like it helps your brand, it helps move you forward in a cool way, gives you legitimacy to people that need legitimacy in order to pay attention. I'll take a little bit of that, but like fundamentally it's just a circle jerk. It's like people sitting in a room looking at each other being like, yeah, you look good. Yeah, that's great. Keep going. And then like, yeah, should we let him in? No, don't let him in. How about her? Maybe, yeah, let's let her in. Okay, great. And then it's like, you're great. You're great. And it's like, I've sat on a couple boards in my life. I'm out on that too. Like, boards for like schools and stuff. And it just isn't my thing. It just feels like it's just talking about things that don't need to be talked about.
Mm. The award ceremony was fine. Like, we got dressed up in tuxedos, and it's not my scene. It's not a thing that I like doing, but Ryan wanted to go. So I was like, hey, we'll go to this thing. We'll sit down. We'll watch the award ceremony. But it felt stiff to me. It's the opposite of what you do with your music, where your music feels so alive, but the ceremony celebrating the music can feel so dead in a way.
Because it's not celebrating you. That's the point. Is like, even if you'd won, they're not celebrating you. They're celebrating themselves. And it's like, it's just a big, and again, throwing a party for yourself, I back it. You know what I mean? If that's what you want to do. And if for you, going was an experience where you're like, I've never been to the Emmys. This is cool. And then you go and you're like, oh, this is neat. I've had enough. I'm ready to be gone. Like, I back that too. But it really is not, the awards are not for us. They're for them, to perpetuate them and their importance. You know, when you nominate something for an Academy Award and it wins, is it really about because it's the best movie of the? I mean, like, what? That's the craziest shit I've ever heard. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. So
going with the it's like throwing a party for yourself analogy. If we map that on to winning an Emmy or a Grammy, it'd be more like hiring 5 random people who don't know you to throw a party for you. And then on the day of your birthday, nervously hoping that they actually decided to throw you a party. And then after the decision is over, you realize that these were not people that you hired anyway. They were chosen for you. And so if they ignore you, you can't complain. And if they throw you a party, it doesn't really mean what you thought it meant, right? It's just this completely random thing. It's not something like a vote, right? It'd be one thing if they said, hey, every year we're going to give awards and we're going to have 2 awards. We're going to have like the mathematical one where like the movie that sold the most, you get a certain kind of reward because that's a measurable achievement. But then we'll say, hey, look, all the moviegoers come out and vote this way. And then we'll have the most popular movie, right? The people's favorite comedy, the people's favorite drama. That would mean something, right? Because you get that award and you would say, all right, this means that I sold the most tickets, or this means that even though I didn't sell the most, there were a lot of people that were moved by my movie, and you can kind of make sense of it. But a lot of these awards, they're just sort of like these really elitist committees. We don't really get to know anything about who has the seat, who's making the judgment. Every year there are complaints about who's represented in these seats. There are always disagreements over that. And there are always just categories that are left out for no other reason than that the people who make the decisions just don't respect that kind of movie or that kind of comedy as legitimate art, even though it sells a lot and the market is signaling that people love it. So I don't have a problem with awards per se. But as someone who actually loves award ceremonies and what they can represent in their highest form, I definitely empathize with a lot of the criticisms that people make of how they're structured and how they're ran. And even to the advertising point, we've talked about this before. I love creativity and salesmanship. I love the art of creating value and then letting people know you have a product or a service that can solve their problem. But the problem with the way advertising is set up is that it is feeding into this culture of fear where nobody's saying what they really think. Nobody's making the joke that they really want to make. Nobody's laughing at what they really think is funny. The people who are religious are afraid to actually admit what religion they follow. The people who aren't religious are afraid to admit that they disagree with your religion. We don't even know anybody anymore because advertisers are controlling the conversation, not coercively, but we're afraid that if I say what I really think about God, about sex, about how hilarious that joke was, Nabisco will no longer pay my check.
That's why,
that's sort of a sad thing. And I'd love to see more creativity with how we produce and finance content.
Did you enjoy this standalone Patreon highlight? If so, you can listen to full episodes of the Minimalist Private Podcast, available exclusively on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/theminimalists or click the link in the description. Your support keeps our podcast and YouTube channel 100% advertisement free.